Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put this out on YouTube. We did this back in May, and this information was collected after the initial charges that I had caught in Collin County in Plano had happened. That was November. I think the 17th of November is when that incident played itself out, and I basically acquired a bunch of different recordings from the cops at that time, one of which directly contradicts the statement made by the officer in his report, which will be fun if we really need to take this into a courtroom with these guys. And decided to go basically not on the run, but I had some work to do, and so a friend of mine and I drove up northwest, and we were in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is a beautiful place. And we had the good fortune of meeting this woman here who had been very involved with a crew that works with federal and local law enforcement, a small group of each, which is corrupt, and they were involved in gang stalking. So she really is the first person I've ever heard come out with a testimony about being actively involved in gang stalking and what goes on with it. And it's just amazing to think that people do stuff like this. Of course, we know they do. And in this case, they were kind of after the money, and they make big deals with people, and they really get into this stuff. They live their lives by their target. They target somebody, and they're making money off this. Their livelihood, to some degree, is coming from this, depending on what role you're playing. And some of these things take years to come to fruition, but it's just kind of an inside peek to what goes on in the gang stalking arena. And I'm just going to let you guys hear a bit of this, but I do want to show you a couple things, because when we do these types of ops, call it whatever you want, you will see a date. This is May 3rd, okay, up there at the top. It's released at the White House, okay? Let's go down here and see what day this is. And that was the 5th. 2 days later, FBI officials Jim Baker, Lisa Page resigned from Bureau. This is a recurring theme with stuff like this. We'll get the information, we'll release it, we'll put it out, bam, somebody resigns, somebody's going to jail, somebody's doing this. And this thing in Collin County is taking so long, because it's connected to so much other stuff, and it's a real pivotal point. And we haven't had like the mass arrests in Texas like they've had in other states. And so we did have a hub busted here, but that did not bring the arrests here initially. And so we're all still working on this, and check it out. Let that load up there.
They're a decent fucking family, all right? Well, they couldn't get a drug ring going, to set them up for...
And this sounds, it's so much information, she's just dumping it. It may be a little difficult to believe at first. This information has been validated from senior intelligence analysts, So, check this out.
Drug dealing and shit, so the FBI and cops, so that cops could pretend they smell drug activity, confirm it, and then have the FBI come in and seize and take everything. Okay, so that's how they do it. Like, for example, when the whole thing comes full circle.
She'll come back here in a minute.
And the deal was, if Amanda got pregnant, she got $3 million. Okay, so Amanda better sell.
Why would they pay somebody?
Because Daddy's worth $1 billion, and the boy now was going to inherit all that.
And you know what? Let me
man.
jump back over here and do. There's all those recordings that I did while I was in jail. Whoa, there we go. Check this one out, because she gives the location of where a key figure lived, and that really.
You got a live one.
If they took down the 5 major families, they would have $5 billion. Okay.
What family told them that? Who's the billionaire?
Gary Norton.
Oh.
Gary Norton is a billionaire who owns Silverwood. Okay? He was one of the people that was put on the board to be sabotaged and have everything he has infiltrated and taken. And then the formula to infiltrate and take his business and his entire family was then structured around him and his business and his entire family, and I know every detail. First thing they did was they asked me personally to go in, because my mom was working for the family, okay, to go in and to get Nick Norton, the son, strung out on cocaine, heroin, as much dope as I could get him to party and do, that would provide it to me. And then after they got him strung out on dope, everybody, all of his friends, and I was one of his buddies, so I was targeted, that then we would make him paranoid to get his dope out on the streets, and we would brainwash him and convince him that the only way he wasn't going to get busted, or that all of us weren't going to get busted, was to start bringing the dope in through Silverwood, which is like Disneyland. You understand what I'm saying? And then the FBI, the cops, the dirty cops and the FBI agents that's in the foe, okay?
They're in the foe.
The fraternal order of the Eagles social club.
Do you know any names of these FBI agents?
And you know what, guys? I didn't know about the Fraternal Order of the Eagles, which is what she's talking about when she says foe. And they are pretty substantial in their membership numbers. And she was dead on, man. She really just nailed it. It's like, oh my God. So hold on, keep going here.
Yeah, I do actually. I could drive you by their houses and tell you.
Right here.
That one of the head FBI agents lives on the 4th green of the Avondale golf course.
Avondale golf course. 4th green.
House on the 4th green. He also has a house in Palm Springs, and he's one of the head guys. In fact, he even went as far to say that, in a joke, that he moved in behind my house so he could quote unquote keep an eye on me because I wouldn't keep my fucking mouth shut. That they might have to do something about me.
I'm just going to put that out right there because that's key. There was about 25-30 minutes of recordings with her, and all went really well. It was pretty cool because she said, or I said, she's telling me all this stuff, and I was like, man, my people will straight up go fly helicopters over these people and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you can do that? And I was like, well, yeah. And man, not 2 minutes later on the audio, you just hear boom, the helicopter just bust right out. We started laughing. I was like, see, so, you know, that kind of stuff happens all the time. And we've got all the videos and all that of that, but it's just funny. And then you run into these little, you know, I hate to say this, you know, but from my perspective, I'm not even going to put it like that, but local law enforcement has their own way of doing things just like everybody else does. And they're so unprivy to stuff that goes on in the IC that they could easily mistake it for something else, and that's fine. That's really that could have its benefits, but dealing with them is not always, but it can be potentially very dangerous to an operation that you're working on, and that's how I fell into this counter sabotage. I mean, we knew they were trying to get at me because I was looking at them, and we just flipped the script on them, and it's going well. I still have to go to court tomorrow to put this in context. I do have a bond amount of $25,000 that if I don't go to court tomorrow, my mom is going to have to pay that. And I'm not turning my fucking self over to these guys. I'll just tell you flat out, I'm not. And so I don't know how I'm going to, I don't want to do that to my mom. And so we're looking into ways to get this money. We're looking into ways to get community support and whatever else it takes. Because to make a move this big, tell the people that you're coming first, which is exactly what we've done. I ran right up into this ring and said, fuck you guys, you're going to get busted, we know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, when I do something like that, there's a reason. And I know that this has had fruit already, and I bet you that by the time this is all said and done, this was a really smart move. It's already paying off. Because when you go in and you tell people like that and you spook them, they start moving quicker, they start doing this, that, and the other, and they fuck up, but they're going to talk about it. They're going to talk about it all over the place. And, you know, we've got guys that can pick up your communications no matter basically what kind of communications you're having. And so that should be a very big asset to this investigation, and probably just the final nail in the coffin for these fucking guys. I mean, you know, I'm not even going to get into the conjecture about it, but I hope you guys realize the magnitude of what she's saying. And so she's talking about the Avondale golf course up in Coeur d'Alene area, Idaho. Let's take a look real quick. Golly, I'm driving down the road with my knee right now. Totally on the fly type of crazy ass on these ops, dude. Bam. And is that no? Let's see. Idaho. Bam. All right. So this is what they're talking about. There's a connection to a corrupt FBI agent at the Avondale golf course. Lives on the 4th green. You know, my guys can take that right there, but that's all you need. It's on and on and on and on and popping right there. Bam. So, you know, we've got to flush these guys out, and it's not personal, but, you know, these guys seat themselves in positions of power, and they're coming up, they're corrupt, they're exploiting, and people are suffering because of it, and it's time for them to fucking go. So, there we go.